Hi everyone, Taya here from Quilting Delights, and I'm here today to give you some helpful hints and tips on how to use your BSR Compatible ruler work attachments. You'll have yours by now, I'm sure, and we want to just go through some of the setup things to think about and consider so that you have a really great experience and a very successful quilting experience with whatever project you're working on. A couple of things before we get started. Number one, you'll notice that I have a practice piece here, and this travels with me wherever I go, whatever I'm doing. It's just like getting into a car. You've got to make sure that everything is set up and ready to go. Your mirrors are in the right position, your seat's in the right position, and that's kind of what this practice piece does. It gives you an opportunity to make sure that your machine is operating correctly before you get on your real project. So today what I'm going to do is walk through the setup and the do's and don'ts of using this BSR Compatible ruler work attachment. There are a lot of things that are similar with the attachments that we've created as with your other things with your Bernina, and I'm going to try and cover all of those today. The first thing you want to know is on setup, again, the same things that apply with just using it as a free motion quilting tool versus ruler work tool, the same procedures for setup. You need to drop your feed dogs. If you have an 8 series machine, an 830 or an 880, that will happen automatically. Anything from the 790 down, you have to do it manually, and it's on the right hand side of your machine, and your sewing machine should prompt you to drop those feed dogs when you attach the stitch regulator. We're going to thread the stitch regulator we're going to thread the machine, sewing machine, without the stitch regulator on. The BSR is similar to the walking foot or the number 55 foot in that you cannot, without compromising the threader system on your 830 and 880, you cannot use the automatic needle threader to thread your needle when you have a stitch regulator or a walking foot or the number 55 foot on. So I always thread my machine. I put in a fresh needle, thread my machine before we attach the stitch regulator, and that way I don't have to worry about it. So I've threaded my machine. This is a 770. This is my favorite machine to quilt on, just because it's an awesome machine. This is the 770 Quilters Edition. I embroider on my 880 and I quilt on my 770. I'm going to take my stitch regulator and I'm going to decide which foot I want to use, and I think today I'm going to use the 1/4 inch foot. And the attachment for the ruler work foot goes on exactly like the attachments that come with the stitch regulator. It just slides into the slot and catches, and then you have a nice tight fit. You're going to put it on to your machine with the foot in the up position. You want to make sure that your presser foot is in the up position. The needle will center in the middle of the attachment, and it's always a little awkward to put the stitch regulator on because we're used to lining up our feet straight on with our bodies, and with the stitch regulator it lines up a little bit to the right of our bodies. So just make sure you recognize that, and once it's on there, lower the lever and then reach around, and I don't know how I did that, but I got it caught under the dual feed. Just reach around and plug it in. I want to make sure that all of you understand that this foot is this attachment is a little bit taller than the attachments that come with the stitch regulator. So it's very important that you are always working with this attachment with the foot in the down position. So I'm automatically going to lower my foot. I like using the button on the front of the machine versus the green button. If you use the foot button, which is underneath the green light, it puts your machine in hover mode so that you can easily take your threads and put them around through the slot that is built into each one of our attachments. Every attachment has a thread slot so that you don't have to fight getting that thread to the bottom. Once you've done that, you can lower your needle and raise your needle. Let me do that one more time while I'm holding on to the thread. Lower your needle, raise the needle, and then pull your lower thread to the top. I just put a new bobbin in, so I think it was stuck on the door. Lower your thread, bring your thread up from the bottom. And both of those can go underneath the foot through the little slot there. and cut the threads, and you're ready to go. The other thing I want to make sure that you're aware of is that there are two kinds of rulers. There are rulers that come with a grip on the bottom, and those are the good measure ruler, and Alex Anderson has a new 12-inch ruler that has gripper on the bottom, and those are awesome because they actually hold on to your fabric as you go, and that makes it really much easier to quilt with. The other kind of rulers are ones like So Kind of Wonderful. These are fabulous quarter-inch rulers, quarter-inch thick rulers, and I love them. The only problem is they're slick on the back, so they slide a lot and it takes a lot more effort to hold them. Well, we've come up with a new product, and it's called Rough It Up, and it is a clear latex-free tape that has bumps on one side. So it's very thin, it's completely see-through, it's latex-free, so if you have any allergies to latex, you don't have to worry about that. And it comes in 10-yard rolls. So you can put tons of this on the back. I've put a little bit on the back of my So Kind of Wonderful ruler because I love the length and the curve of this, but I'm going to put probably 2 more strips of this on the back so that I have a really good grip on the back of it. It is available through your local quilt shop, just like the other tools and items that we've mentioned. And it really does help hold on to, it's the difference between this and this. So it makes a difference, and you can put it on the back of your acrylic rulers too, to make sure that when you do your cutting, when you do your rotary cutting of your quilts, that you've got a good grip on the back of those rulers as well. So 2 kinds of rulers. The ones that come with the grip on the back are the Good Measure rulers and Alex Anderson's. And then if you have slickness on the back of your rulers, the other ones that are slick on the back are Westerly rulers and Handy Quilter rulers. So this Rough It Up tape is going to be a huge benefit to you in helping grab the fabrics and grab your project when you're quilting it. The last thing that I want to mention is we all have some kind of a quilting surface, whether it's our kitchen table, whether it's just the tray table that you're working with, or a wish table. And what I've discovered is none of them are slick enough to keep your project moving easily. So the best of all worlds, in the best of all worlds, when you're quilting, your ruler is holding on to your project, and your table is slick enough that the project is moving freely. So we have, we've been using them for a completely different purpose. I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see this. These are non-stick pressing sheets. They've been, in the past, they've been called Teflon pressing sheets, but we can't use that word because it's trademarked. So these are non-stick pressing sheets that we've used for applique and for collage quilting with Laura Heine collage quilts. We've been using these for several years. Well, I realized we can make them in whatever size we want. So we pulled a 36-inch square piece and put it on our table, and oh my gosh, it has made all the difference in whether I can actually ruler quilt a straight line or a curve without having any resistance to my project underneath. So these are also available through your local quilt shop. If they don't have them get a hold of Quilting Delights, and we will make them available for purchase for you. They come in 4 different sizes. We have on the table here, we have a 36 by 36, and I believe, well, you can check it out on our website, quiltingdelights.com, or check with your local retailer to make sure that you're supporting your local quilt shops. But it really does make a difference. It makes it slicker than ice on a skating rink. Trying to come up with something nice to say. So it makes it really slick, and it makes it really easy to move around. So I've got my rulers, and they all have some kind of a friction on the back that keep them to help hold on to my fabrics. I've got my work surface all set. I have my stitch regulator. Now, there is a school of thought that says keep your foot pedal attached, but I don't like having my foot pedal attached. I want to be in stitch regulator mode, and I want my machine to be down in my cabinet so that I can actually have my entire work surface available for moving my project around. And when you do that, you can see there's nothing hanging up the edges. There's nothing holding me back from doing really amazing quilting. So I'm just going to double check and make sure my feed dogs are down. There are also 2 modes on your BSR, soon to be 3 modes on your stitch regulator. For ruler work quilting, I stay with mode number 1, and that means that my needle is still going up and down when I stop. You can play with that, and again, having a practice piece is a great way to determine what you're going to be most comfortable with. Mode number 2, when you stop, the needle stops moving. And then there is also stitch number 1, which is the straight stitch, or stitch number 2, which is the zigzag stitch. And then mode number 3 is coming out, and when it's out and available, we'll talk about that too. Right now we're just going to work on straight stitching and doing that in mode 1. So the other thing that's very, very important, and I'll tell you why I am bringing this to your attention. When Bernina first came out with the 96 foot, which is Bernina's ruler foot, not on the stitch regulator, but just on the machine, so that you can do free motion quilting and ruler work quilting with the 96 foot. The first thing I did, because I didn't notice if there were any, I didn't notice any warning signs, so this is a big warning, and there's a sheet of paper in your stitch regulator package, I'm sorry, in your attachment package. There's a piece of paper in your attachment package that has a big stop sign with a red line across it, because when I had the 96 foot, when it first came out, the very first thing that I did was I dropped my foot right on top of it, and guess what? I not only broke the needle, but I also broke the 96 foot, and that was a very expensive foot to replace. So I want to put it near and dear to your hearts, and if I'm over telling you this, it's because I want you to be careful. Do not have your rulers anywhere near either your stitch regulator with the compatible ruler work attachments, or your 96 foot, or your 72 foot, or your 73 foot. Don't have the ruler anywhere near those attachments until you have put your foot in the down position. The rulers are designed to run next to the foot, not underneath it. So it's a really important thing to remember, is you always want to have your ruler away from your foot when you're putting it in the up or down position. The only reason really to have your foot in the up position is to release the tension so you can pull your thread through a little bit. Otherwise, really the only position your foot should be in is in the down position. So now you're ready to go. You've got good instruction on setup, and you've got good instruction on what kind of rulers to use. You've got good instruction on how to keep your surfaces ready for quilting. And the most important thing for you to remember is always, always, always keep your foot, keep your Bernina stitch regulator foot in the down position at all times. You want it in the down position when you bring a ruler up to it. You want it in the down position when you do needle up, needle down. And you want to take it off when you need to thread your needle. Those are all the helpful hints we have for you right now, and it's time for you to go check out our other YouTube videos previously done on how to use the stitch regulator and how to do quilting. And also subscribe and ring the bell on our YouTube channel so that you get additional videos moving forward. Thanks for your time, and we are looking forward to some great projects coming out of your quilting and sewing room.